Once considered nothing more than the villain, the other woman, in a marriage that entranced the world, Queen Camilla was the woman who cast a long shadow over the royal family's carefully constructed image. Her involvement with Prince Charles, during his tumultuous marriage to Princess Diana, had captivated the media for years, with Camilla seen as the ultimate disruptor in a love story that had quickly spiraled into heartbreak, scandal, and eventual tragedy. The marriage of Charles and Diana had seemed like the fairy tale of the century, only to crumble under the pressure of public scrutiny, infidelity, and emotional devastation. And in the midst of it all stood Camilla, vilified by the press and the public, dubbed the other woman in a drama that would forever alter the course of royal history. For years, Camilla remained an outcast, viewed through a lens of suspicion and hostility. She became the personification of betrayal in the eyes of millions, unable to escape her past as the woman who had once stood between a prince and his princess. She was painted as the ultimate villain, the woman who stole the love of a man from the beloved, misunderstood princess. Yet, with time, something extraordinary happened. Camilla began to rise from the ashes of her reputation, crafting a new identity, a new persona that began to gain public acceptance. Her transformation was neither fast nor easy. It was a slow, deliberate process, marked by quiet moments of grace, patience, and loyalty. As the years went on, Camilla found her place within the royal family. She supported Prince Charles through thick and thin, and together, they weathered storms both personal and public. Her unwavering devotion to him, as well as her commitment to royal duties, slowly began to reshape the narrative. She became a steady presence, a regal figure in her own right, and in time, many saw her not just as Charles's partner, but as the queen consort she is today. However, no matter how much time passed, no matter how many charitable endeavors she undertook, there remained a lingering shadow, a specter from the past that could never truly be erased. That was until Prince Edward, a man known for his quiet, behind-the-scenes role within the royal family, made a single comment that would reignite the fire of controversy. The youngest son of Queen Elizabeth II had long been seen as the family's peacemaker. He was the one who, unlike his more famous siblings, stayed out of the headlines and focused on quieter matters of service, philanthropy, and family life. Edward was not a man known for stirring up royal drama, and his place in the public eye was often a quiet one. Yet, when he spoke, his words carried weight, and this time, his remark would prove to be nothing short of incendiary. Edward's comment was subtle, carefully worded, but the implications were unmistakable. His words, which were widely seen as an allusion to Princess Diana's enduring legacy, sent shockwaves through the palace. The carefully constructed image of Camilla, the woman who had spent years working to earn the public's acceptance, was shattered in an instant. The past, which many had hoped would remain buried, was brought crashing back into the spotlight. For Camilla, it was as if a door had been opened to a painful chapter she had worked so hard to move beyond. Insiders reported that she was left devastated by the remark. The usually composed and resilient queen consort was seen retreating to her private quarters after the comment aired. It was as though the wound, which had seemed to heal over time, had been ripped open once again, exposing her to the same criticism, the same hurtful reminders of the past that she had worked so tirelessly to escape. It was not the first time that Diana's legacy had cast a shadow over Camilla's life. The story of the love triangle between Charles, Diana, and Camilla had been one of the most publicized, most scandalous in royal history. The world had watched with bated breath as Diana's marriage to Charles unraveled, and as the ugly truths of their relationship were exposed to the public. Diana had not only been Charles's wife, but she had also been a beloved figure, a woman who had won the hearts of millions with her vulnerability, her charm, and her ability to connect with people in a way that no royal had before. The public's sympathy had been firmly on Diana's side, and in the wake of her separation from Charles, and the ensuing divorce, Camilla became a figure of public scorn. She was the woman who had been blamed for breaking up the royal marriage, the woman who had stolen the affections of the prince, The press had no mercy, and neither did the public. Diana had become the martyr, the tragic figure, while Camilla was cast as the villain. For years, Camilla lived in the shadows of this narrative, battling against a relentless media that painted her as the ultimate homewrecker. But time, as it often does, began to heal some wounds. Slowly, Camilla began to forge her own path, one step at a time. She supported Charles through his public difficulties, and over time, the world began to see her not just as the woman who had once been at the center of a scandal, but as a royal in her own right. By the time Camilla was officially granted the title of Queen Consort, many had begun to accept her. Her public duties, her charitable work, and her steadfast loyalty to Charles all contributed to a public image that was increasingly favorable. The narrative that had once painted her as a villain had started to shift, and a new, more sympathetic portrait began to emerge. But despite all of this, the past had never truly been forgotten. Diana's legacy lived on, a constant reminder of the pain, the heartbreak, and the emotional chaos that had once engulfed the royal family. That legacy was reignited with a single comment from Prince Edward. Edward had always been known as someone who kept out of royal drama, someone who avoided the sensational headlines and scandalous gossip that often surrounded his family. He was not a man who sought the spotlight. But his relationship with Princess Diana had always been different. While other members of the royal family had seen Diana as a disruptive force, Edward had recognized her humanity. He had admired her ability to connect with the public, her authenticity, and her willingness to speak out about the difficulties she faced behind palace walls. In contrast to the cold, often distant atmosphere of the royal family, Diana had been a breath of fresh air. She was vulnerable, empathetic, and above all, real. Where others in the royal family were restrained by tradition and protocol, Diana had broken through those barriers, and in doing so, had captured the hearts of millions. Edward had admired her for this, and perhaps more than anyone else in the royal family, he understood the deep emotional toll that being part of the monarchy could take on an individual. But it was not just Diana's legacy that was on Edward's mind when he spoke. His remark was a subtle reference to the shadow that Diana's presence still cast over the royal family. A shadow that Camilla, no matter how much time passed, could never fully escape. It was a painful truth that, for all the work she had done to rebuild her image, for all the years she had spent proving her worth as Queen Consort, there would always be people who remembered the past. For Camilla, Edward's words were a bitter reminder that the monarchy, for all its pageantry and grandeur, was still a place filled with deep-rooted tensions and unspoken rivalries. Diana's legacy, despite her passing more than 2 decades ago, still loomed large. Camilla's role in the royal family, no matter how much she had worked to earn it, would always be tainted by the past. The monarchy, for all its public celebrations and royal duties, has always been a place of hidden drama, secret alliances, and unresolved conflicts. Prince Edward's comment was a stark reminder that beneath the surface of royal life lies a complex web of emotions, history, and personal relationships that the public rarely sees. And as the world watches, wondering what will happen next, one thing remains certain: the story of Diana, Camilla, and the royal family is far from over. For those who crave a deeper understanding of the royal family, who are fascinated by the drama, the secrets, and the untold stories, this is just the beginning. The next chapter is sure to be just as captivating, and the twists and turns that await promise to reveal even more hidden truths. To stay on top of the latest royal revelations, make sure to subscribe, because you won't want to miss what happens next.